What's going on, people? My name is Mizzy GC and my YouTube account's name is Mizzy Go. At the time of recording this marks 1 week of this channel being open, so I decided I'm gonna do a short introduction into myself, an introduction into my account, show some of my rate of progress from how I went from level 39 to 50 in under a year, and show you some of the rare bits in my account, some of my Shinies, some of my Hundos, and a few other interesting Pokemon. For me, Pokemon has always played a massive part of my life. I still remember the first episode I saw on TV when I was a little young boy. It was the Lieutenant Surge Raichu versus Pikachu episode, and ever since then, I was completely locked in. I've played every single main series game, bar one, which was Sun and Moon, because regrettably, I sold my 3DS, and I still regret it to this day, actually. My Pokemon Go journey started in 2016, probably the same time as everyone else when the game was released and took the world by storm. But sadly, I had to quit pretty soon because this was before I had unlimited data, so it kept leaving me 2 weeks with no internet, and my battery on my phone just kept dying. And also there wasn't so much to do at the time, but fortunately I didn't delete my account when I stopped. Then, about 1.5 years ago, I was on holiday with Michael and Hayden. We got a bit bored one evening in Egypt and decided to download the game again to see what has been happening in it. And a Corsola popped up on both of our screens. But when we clicked it, Hayden's Corsola was blue and mine was pink, and that unlocked something inside of me. From then, I started to play quite casually. I turn on the game 2 or 3 times a week, catch all the Pokemon around me, spin some stops. I used to look at 5-star raids and think, how am I ever gonna beat these? I remember seeing a video of Brandon Tan, and he had a team of Moltres, and I thought he was soloing them. But it turns out I didn't know people could join these raids. That's how far behind I was at the time. And I was probably deleting Hundos, thinking, oh, they got low CP, so it's probably worth nothing. I'm sure everyone's made this mistake. In March of 2024, my friend Hayden figured out Campfire. And from there, we found the Crystal Palace meetups. Crystal Palace is this lovely park that we're in right now. And we met the ambassadorship that's run by a man named James, who's a great guy. But the thing that kept me coming to the ambassadorship is the fact that all the people that turned up, which was a Kyogre Mega Raid Day where there was so many people here, 50 plus, which blew me away at the time. Everyone was so open to answering my questions. Obviously, I mentioned I was really far behind on the ins and outs of the game. People really helped me grow my account by just giving me general tips and tricks. And yeah, I feel like I'm part of the community now, so I will always have a special place in my heart for Crystal Palace meetup. Just a quick disclaimer here, although I always wanted to do YouTube content or content creation in one way or another, I was just a bit scared of certain things. I mean, what if I didn't get any views? What if people judge me for holding a camera around? What if nobody ever subscribes to me? What if I'm rubbish? And plus, I didn't have any editing experience in the last 15 years, but I think I've had a pretty good start now. But there were people that pushed me and motivated me to buy the camera, to put myself out there. So I'd like to give a big special shout out to my best friend Hayden, my good friend Elias, and also my good friend Killian, because they've been motivating me along the way. Also, Jack and Poppy have been following me and watching all the videos along the way and giving me feedback, so thank you guys, and all the other people that have subscribed so far. I really appreciate it. I've just been invited to a Tapu Lele raid, so I'm going to get into this quickly, but this leads us on to the good stuff. I'm going to tell you how I went from level 39 to 50 in the space of a year. I'm going to show screenshots of the progression and then talk about a couple of things that were happening at the time that influenced the quick progression. So yeah, let's get into it. As you can see, this was me at level 39, little Mizzy GC with the shaman hat. I had my first shiny legendary, which was Kyogre last week, and this was the Groudon that I was so proud of. I met a guy named Alex around this time, and he had 2 accounts. Don't break the community guidelines, but he had 2 accounts. He had a level 48 account and a level 44 account, and me at level 39 thought he was a god. Like, how have you got 2 accounts and you've raised them to these kind of levels, especially with the level up challenges? But yeah, here's a screenshot of the Pokemon that I had at the time. This was my top page before, which does look impressive in some regards. I mean, I was happy at the time, but where it's become now, which I'll show you later, is drastically different. I went to my first event in central London. Here's some photos of me. There was a 400 or 500 plus turnout at this time, which I think was a record. Here's me with my shiny Shadow Mewtwo. This was actually a 92, so it was actually groundbreaking. I couldn't do the whole weekend, so I only did the Saturday, and we did about 38 raids that day running around central London, so it was a massive experience and my first time really going at it for a legendary Pokemon. Also at this time, which you might notice by my change of attire, I think it's safe to say around the 11th of April was when I became pay to play. So I stopped being free to play because I was very reluctant at first to put money into a mobile game. But of course that has changed. You'll see how it's changed by the amount of raids that I've done over time. But yeah, here's me with my my outfit. This lasted for many levels. So this was actually like, if people saw that outfit, they knew it was Mizzy GC there. From the 11th of April to the 28th of April, it looks like I made 4 million XP, and that's what tipped me over to level 40. Baxcalibur, when it came out, I loved it from Scarlet and Violet, so I had to make that my buddy. That one's got a best friend badge now. And swiftly on after that, at the 5th of May, which is only a week, I was at level 41. So you can see how it was moving pretty quickly at this point already, because I was going all the way in. Even though I was still not like a mogul of this game, I was going quite hard and just getting all the raids in that I could. And the day after that screenshot was taken, you can see at the top someone's asking me for proof, but I got my first ever Shundo. Now this was a natural Shundo. I was just walking around my local park and I saw a shiny Magikarp and I was over the moon. I saw the Magikarp because I traded my only one to Hayden, and then when I opened the stats, there it was, my first ever Shundo. It was such a, I'll never forget that moment. 37 CP, it is still 37 CP to this day, and I'll probably never power it up unless I get another Shundo Magikarp. Then by the 5th of June, which was about a month after, I'd made about 7 million XP, which pushed me up to level 42. As you can see, the raids won there were 99, which at the time was loads. But right now, when you see a few more of the screenshots down the line, you realize that this was just the beginning for me still. The 29th of June, I was level 43. So that is just under a month, 25 or 24 days. As I said, I've got my Baxcalibur best friend badge on, and I was just progressing real quick, catching much more Pokemon now instead of just shiny checking, because at one point I would only shiny check. Moving on to the 23rd of July, which is just about a month after that, you can see I'm still level 43, but I've increased about 23 million XP since that point. So I think I was stuck on the PvP battles or the Master League battles at the time, because I'm just not a big fan of PvP personally. So I let myself get stuck there. Plus I think at the time I was really excited to like see how much I could boost my XP, because I have some people on my friends list that have 150 million XP and they're on level 41 and something like that. So I just like to see that progression and to be ready for the next level. 6th of August, so I must have got those battles done in that time, must have sat down with a friend and just battled each other, for example. So that's only 1.5 or 2 weeks later. I was level 44 and I still had a lot of XP over the required level cap. So that's why I progressed so quickly within some of the levels, because the challenges aren't so difficult. It got real difficult when it comes to beating 50 leaders or getting 35 platinum medals, but those kind of happen in time if you do it at a good pace. And then by the 25th of August, which was 19 days after the last one, I had leveled up to 45. Now in that time, as you can see, I did 250 raids, caught 10,000 plus Pokemon, spun so many Pokestops. At this point, XP was not an issue anymore. It was just a matter of getting the task done. I feel like GoFest was around this time, so I was doing a lot more raids. I was doing all my remotes every single day, which I had to kind of cut down because I feel like that's a bad habit, just to do it at midnight every single day. And plus, it rinses coins massively. So we moved on from there. The 31st of August, which is a 6-day transition from level 45, and then I turned into level 46. So there was only 45 raids done in those days, but yeah, it was a very quick progression at that point. And then by the 17th of September, which is only 2.5 weeks after that, I was level 47. But in those 2.5 weeks, I'd done 185 raids, caught so many Pokemon, 7,000 plus, visit all these Pokestops, got my Shundos, my buddy there. And yeah, it just kept moving so quickly. So I was level 47 for a little while, because there is a time gate at that level, which means you've got to walk 25 kilometers 8 times a week or something like that. So I was on that for 8 weeks. So that's the only one that I was stuck there for a reason. It's because I literally could not go past the time gate. But in that time, something that happened on the 12th of October, I saw my first ever shiny Galarian Bird. And what's funny about this, I have it on screen now, but what's funny about this is that 2 days after, I got another shiny Articuno. So I had 2 at this point, so honestly, you couldn't write it. It was such crazy odds. I'll just quickly show you the screenshot of me and my best buddy Articuno I was at level 47 with like just under 30 million XP out of the 21 million needed. So this is at the end of the time gate, so that's the 7th of November. And by the 11th of November, the time gate had finished, and here we are. with level 48, and in those 8 weeks I did 518 raids, including remotes, caught 33,000 Pokemon and spun 20,000 Pokestops. So this is when I was really turned into the grinder that I am today. 1.5 months after that, I had reached level 49 by the 26th of December, so Boxing Day, which was a Latios raid day or something. In that 1.5 months, we'd done 656 raids, caught just under 30,000 Pokemon and spun loads of stops. So this is all whilst I was working as well, so it's crazy to me to think how fast I progressed and how many raids I was doing, but that was a big milestone and obviously one step closer to the level 50 mark. And as you can see here, about only 11 days later, I was level 50 at the 6th of January. So that was the 6th of January this year, 2025. And in that time, because it was short, I only did 109 raids, 6,500 Pokemon caught. But yeah, I grinded my way to the top. I think it was super easy, that one. The last level was the easiest one. You got to do 999 excellent throws, get a certain amount of platinums, which I think I had already, so it was easy peasy. But yeah, that was the progression rate. So well under a year, maybe 10 months, I believe it was. And here I am, level 50 Mizzy. This is what I have right now. So you need 176 million lifetime XP to get to level 50. So since the beginning of January to the end of March, it's the 31st of March now, I've made just under 60 million XP. And stay hydrated, people. So that leads us on to the basics of the account. Right now, level 50, I just showed you the screenshot of this. But my platinums, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, plus 18. So I've got 40 platinum medals. In terms of my storage, in terms of items, 7,150. This is more than necessary. You definitely need a lot of storage if you plan to play the way that I do. And in terms of Pokemon storage, we've got 4,550. Now, since we're here, this is my top page of my IVs now. So it's changed drastically since the last one. So I'm going to put up the old screenshot next to this one. You can see the difference in the pages. And, you know, even the second page is still basically all over 4,000 CP Pokemon. Now, some of them I regret powering up, like this Kyogre here, for example. This was, although it did its job, it helped me a lot during the time before I got the Shundo. The third page is still over 3,800, all of them. So it's good to see all of these in my account now. I never thought it would get to this point. Even when I realized that I had these in my account before I did this video, I was like, whoa, like, when did it get like that? But yeah, I've got a list of things to show you. So the Shinies, in terms of the shiny decks, which I'm currently doing, I'm constantly doing them and updating my shiny decks. So right now I have 460 Pokemon. I think it's just under 1,000 that are in the game now that can be shiny. Of course, there's a lot of unreleased Pokemon at the minute, but I'm also doing the gender specific ones. So for example, Heracross, who has a female and a male one. Well, I need to put the male one in here, but the male has a different horn, so I'm going to be putting that one in there in a second. But yeah, that's my shiny deck, 660 unique shiny Pokemon, not doubles or anything like that. Because if I was doing doubles, to talk about doubles, I have 1,480 Pokemon, but sadly, I've had to delete about 400 of them because they were taking away too much space. I mentioned in a previous video, but I feel like this is already overkill, 1,480 shinies. I keep a lot of these to trade to other people, but sometimes it's like, what, do I need 10 chances? Do I need 15 bronzors? I mean, we have shiny and legendaries. Now, I've got 177 shiny legendaries. Of course, a lot have been traded to friends, but I've also done a lot of like-for-like trades. So this is roughly the right amount, but I've deleted so many legendaries in the pursuit of these shinies because, of course, it's 1 in 20 rates. But yeah, I'm really happy with all of these. Notable ones will be this like Kieran with the background. Couldn't quite get the Hundo on these ones. I never really get the Shundos on the big events. But moving on to that, since I've mentioned it, let's type in 4-star here. So we've got a Shundo Ho-Oh, which I love so much. Ho-Oh was one of my favorite Pokemon growing up, especially since the first episode of Pokemon when it's flying across the screen. So it's nice to have that. I got it on the Shadow Raid day and had to purify it. And this one is one of my favorites. It's a shame it doesn't have the wild area background, but I got this one and I saw the CP and I didn't realize that it was going to be a Shundo because I didn't realize it was weather boosted. So I went to my friend Baz and I went to my friend Farid and I was like, oh, what's it going to be? And I showed them and there it was. The Shundo showed itself. I screamed. I said, oh my God, everyone looked at me, but it was worth it at that time. and I've showed it in the video already, but my other Shundo was this Magikarp, and I told you the story about how that happened already. What's next? What's next? So shiny shadows. Now, I didn't really realise after Mewtwo Day, let's do it in recent order about what I got them. So since the Mewtwo Day, I didn't receive any shadow shinies at all. And then one day, I'm literally in my house, just do a random balloon that came down, and then this shiny Stantler came out of nowhere. And from then on, I started to do rockets a bit more aggressively just to try and get shinies. So we got the Shadow Machamp, the Lugia Raid Day happened. It took me a long time to get these, but I've got the Entei. I'm missing the other two dogs completely in shiny, never had the Suicune or Raikou. But yeah, a lot the rocket leaders, I got these. This was a set of the rocket leaders, so Arlo, Cliff and Sierra gave you these, and I got all 3 of them during that event. And a raid, for example, I did a random raid and got this Shadow Shiny Nidoran, which I love a lot. And then Cliff finally gave me a Cubone. This was actually my Dex entry Cubone for shiny, so that's cool. And I think it's close to PvP IVs, which, well, not quite there, but it's good for PvP. And next up, we have our costume shinies. So costume shiny, put them by number. So as you can see, I have a lot of Pikachus. Now these were kindly given to me by my good friend Hayden when he went on holiday, and he brought them back for me. We got a lot of different Pikachus, but since I've got a couple Pikachus, I started really collecting them. I got all these from the event. This is one of my favorites. I got traded this during the Chinese New Year event, and it was a random trade that went lucky. Of course, we got loads of these from this event, the Fashion Week event, Hoot Hoot Galore. We got these during the Go Fest event, so the Scarf Umbreon and the Scarf Espeon, which are lovely. A lot of these anniversary Wurmples, the Slack Off and Slacking. I love that. This is one of my favourite shinies. Haven't had a regular one, but fortunately I got two of the costume ones. And yeah, I think one of my earliest costumes was this one, the Duskull, which I love a lot because this is before I was really super shiny hunting. You know, I was a casual player at this time, so those ones are quite nostalgic to me. So next up, we have our Hundos. How many Hundos do I have in this account now? I haven't even checked for a while. I've got 184 Hundos at the moment. So these, just part and parcel of the game. They're random, a lot of them came from field researches, quite a few came from eggs, and of course, loads of them just come from the wild. You get some from raids, but those are few and far between us. But a notable thing about the Hundos is in the week that Zacian came out, the first time for me, I got 3 within the week, and I didn't want him. People always get annoyed at me because I say I don't care if it's Hundo. I prefer if it was shiny than a Hundo. But out of 3 chances here, not one of them sparkled, which was a shame. But in terms of Hundos, let's see how many of them are legendary. So we've got 16 Hundo legendaries. So I've got some stories about these over time, but my favourite ones were from that recent week in the build up to Unova Tour, where I got Hundo Terrakion, Hundo Zekrom and Hundo Landorus. Now these ones to me are super meta relevant, so for those to be the only ones I got Hundos of that week, I feel super grateful for those ones. Shadow Hundos. 4-star and Shadow. Yeah, here we go. We got 2 Shadow Hundos. So one of them being this Nidoking, which came from a raid, which was just a Nidoran raid. And then this was from a Grunt, and it was the second encounter that came out, which was the Rhyhorn. So I had to evolve this one straight up. And yeah, I love both of these because they're quite relevant, especially this Rhyperior, which is a great raid attacker. Moving on from there, we have, how many best buddies do we have? Buddy 5. So at the moment, my best buddies are this Gengar that was traded to me by my friend Tyler. I missed it on the Gigantamax Gengar day, which was a nightmare because I did about 40 Gigantamax raids and didn't get it. We've got this Articuno, it's I think 82 IV or something like that. We've got this Mewtwo, which I showed from the Shadow Mewtwo raid day. This is a Pundo, but I will never ever purify this Pokemon, even when Mega Mewtwo does eventually come out. Celebi, I love it so much. Shiny Celebi is one of my favourite Pokemon. I know I say I've got a lot of favourites, but let's just say I have 50 favourites of the 1,000 Pokemon that exist right now. This Rayquaza, traded from my good friend Jackie. This was actually one of my earliest shinies, and this is before I knew about shiny IVs being, like shiny high IVs being rare. So I got it as a gibble from a field research on the December Com Day 2023 or something, before I even knew what Com Day was, by the way. This Duskmane, I still need to best friend the Dawn Wings. It's getting a bit chilly now. I had to put my jacket on even though the sun is still out. But next up is Galarian Birds. So let's see what we got here. Galarian Legendary. Maybe you can tell by my channel, but I do want to complete this set of Galarian Birds. I haven't got a shiny Zapdos yet, and that's why I've been doing long incenses. As I said, I had 2 shiny Galarian Articunos. I did get a third one, and the third one I traded for this Galarian Moltres, which didn't go so well, but I'm still happy because, you know, it's hard to get good Galarian Birds either way. A few of my Zapdoses were traded, but I've caught a couple of them as well, but they all ended up pretty good. And the Articunos, this is the one I showed you a second ago. We traded for this one, didn't go so great. I traded a Galarian Moltres for that. And then this one was a lucky trade that didn't go well at all. But my first ever Galarian Bird, I caught this on the Sinnoh Tour day. Once again, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know why Sinnoh Tour was such a big event. But I came across my first ever Galarian Moltres. I threw the Master Ball at it in my local park, the same place I got the Shundo Magikarp actually, and it turned into the perfect PvP IV Moltres. Like, people are so jealous of this one. I never understood it. I've got this one, and this one was also actually, where is it? A level 1. 43 CP Moltres, and it ended up being a 3-star, so this one will never get traded away, never get powered up. So we've got a Goldengo. This is a 94 Goldengo, so I lucky traded for this. But right after I evolved it, because I just got 999 coins like a few days before that, then we did some lucky trades, and I ended up with this, which I wish I evolved this one, but then a few trades after that, then I got exactly the same IV, but lucky. This is one of my favorites in this account. Since I reached level 50, it kind of changed my mindset a bit. I didn't know what I was pushing towards, but as I said, we're hoping for level 60. I just hope people can enjoy it, play together, meet new people, make new friends like I've done over the past year. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this journey with me. One of my biggest regrets is not starting this YouTube channel before. Like 1 year ago, if I started this whole journey and like showed my progression and speed, who knows where I'd be. But yeah, onwards and upwards. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Once again, thanks to all the people that have subscribed so far, and I look forward to how everything's going to go. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys.